The Miami Dolphins are once again in rumors about trading for another star, and this time it's Jonathan Taylor. Schefter broke the news earlier this week that the Colts have given All-Pro running back Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade per league sources. Other teams now are weighing whether to make an offer to the Colts and what would be fair value. Now, Jim Irsay and the Colts said that they want a first-round pick or something equal in value to that, and honestly, they're not going to get that. I think the most going back to Indianapolis in a trade for Jonathan Taylor is maybe a second-round pick and a couple day 2 or day 3 picks as well. Maybe an extra player or two in there, depending on the team. But honestly, I really don't see a first-round pick going back to Indy in a trade like this. There's 6 teams interested. Only 2 teams have made offers so far, and the Dolphins are one of them from what we've heard. We don't know what the other teams are looking like. The Eagles, Bears, Broncos, and maybe the Panthers are some teams that we've heard are interested. But the Dolphins are really the only team that's been, at the top of the rumor list. But one thing that's important about this whole situation is that the deadline to make a trade is Tuesday for Jonathan Taylor. That's the day that all the 53-man rosters are going to be finalized and released and all that stuff. So if there is going to be a trade, teams are going to want to have it done by then. So that is the deadline. But one thing that I really thought of is that if the Dolphins made an offer for Jonathan Taylor, by the way, one of the rumors that we've heard is that the Dolphins made an offer, the Colts declined it, but they're really the main team that's been in talks with Indianapolis for Jonathan Taylor. But one thing that I thought of is that if the Dolphins made an offer, that means that Jonathan Taylor has probably verbally said that he wants to play for the Dolphins, and also that they already have a contract worked out. Because if the Colts did happen to accept the Dolphins' offer, there would likely have to be a contract extension that goes along with it, because the reason that he wants out of Indianapolis is because of his contract situation. So a new contract would likely be going along with the trade partner that, whoever decides to trade for Jonathan Taylor. And I think a 4-year, $60 million deal is what, I've heard from some people who have rumored around the contract idea. $15 million makes sense. It's not the most for running back in league history. It's probably going to be, a little less than what he wants, but he's going to have to take it to go to a team like the Dolphins. Not saying that we're the new dynasty in the league, but, we're not some poverty team. So, I think that the rumored trade right now that the Dolphins would potentially be sending back to the Colts is, I guess, a second-round pick, maybe a third the year after. So, and 4 players, not 4 players all in one trade, but 4 players that have been in rumors about being traded for Jonathan Taylor. First one is Cedric Wilson Jr., who's been in trade talks with Dolphins fans ever since the end of last season, where his production really dropped from his year before with the Cowboys. Also, Jeff Wilson, because, if we're getting a running back, might as well give them a running back. Emmanuel Ogbah has also been in talks. That would clear up a lot of cap space, which would really help, because that position is stacked, right? Jalen Phillips on one side, Bradley Chubb on the other. Reliable backups in Andrew Van Ginkel, Malik Reed, other guys I'm sure I'm forgetting about right now. Emmanuel Ogbah, of course, had that career year 2 years ago, then signed that 4-year, $60 million deal. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then, of course, went out with the injury last year, missed most of last season. His production, even before the injury, wasn't very much, so losing him wouldn't be a great cause. And then the last guy is Raheem Mostert. I really don't think he'd ever get traded. I think if a running back is going to get traded, it's probably going to be Jeff Wilson, maybe a guy like Myles Gaskin or Salvon Ahmed. But I don't see it really happening. And another thing that goes along with this trade is Christian Wilkins. Not that he's going to get traded for Jonathan Taylor. If that happens, I will literally never root for the Dolphins again. Ever since the draft ended, Dolphins fans have been waiting for Christian Wilkins to get extended, and the fact that week 1 is only 2 weeks away, I'm getting worried that Christian Wilkins won't be playing under his new contract this upcoming season. And ever since the Dolphins drafted him with a 13th overall pick in 2019, 2018, one of those years, the production that Wilkins has given this defense is probably way more than what the Dolphins even wished for when they drafted him out of Clemson. He's really been the MVP of this team. He may have been the best player on the defense side of the ball last year. Scratch that. He was the best player on the defense side of the ball. He probably will be again this year unless Jalen Ramsey comes back and becomes a stud. But with him being out until later in the season, I'm expecting Wilkins to be the best player on this defense, and he may as well be the best player on this entire team. Now, credits to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Teron Armstead, those guys. But Christian Wilkins, the production that he gives this defense and what he turns this defense into is completely undebatable. And Vic Fangio, I'm hoping that Christian Wilkins can have another stellar year with him in his system. But man, I'd be disappointed if the Dolphins were to give another extension out to Jonathan Taylor and Christian Wilkins doesn't end up getting his. Now, if the Dolphins do that, Christian Wilkins may as well request a trade. Now, I would hate to see it happen, but I can't complain. Like, Christian Wilkins has done everything to deserve his contract, especially with all the extensions that have been going out this offseason, especially to his position with Daron Payne, Jeffrey Simmons, Dexter Lawrence. Christian Wilkins deserves his contract. He deserves his money. He deserves his long-term extension. And I'd be shocked if they had to give his money away to Jonathan Taylor. Now, if they can, like I said, if they can trade for Jonathan Taylor in exchange for Cedric Wilson Jr. and Emmanuel Ogbah and make up that money to somehow create some type of money for Christian Wilkins, I mean, that'd be the best possible situation. But, man, if Christian Wilkins, I think Christian Wilkins is still my number one priority, to get him extended. And then if you can find the money to do that, plus trade for Jonathan Taylor and then give him a new contract, I mean, that'd be a dream come true. But going back to the subject of the video, Jonathan Taylor, sorry I had to rant about Christian Wilkins there, but it's important. But for Jonathan Taylor, the main issue with the Dolphins this upcoming season, the main question that they have is, of course, Tua staying healthy. And the one thing that you can determine that makes a team not unbeatable, but can definitely help them when a quarterback is out or injured, it's having that reliable running back. Now, obviously, the receivers are already set. You have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It's really hard to fail as the quarterback of the Dolphins when you have those types of receivers. And the O-line is, it has its holes, but overall, it holds up well enough. But if you put Jonathan Taylor in that backfield, I mean, this team's offense, it is no holes. Now, like I said, the O-line, it has its spots. Tight end is there, but when I'm talking about receivers and running backs, there's no way that you can keep up with this team. You have the secondary trying to worry about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to the point where they have to stay 30, 40 yards back in front of the line of scrimmage, and then you have Jonathan Taylor coming off the wheel route or the cut route in that backfield. This offense can really be unstoppable if they do make a trade for Jonathan Taylor. And like I said, it can help a guy like Skylar Thompson or Mike White out if Tua does, God forbid, happen to go down and misses a couple games or something. But we saw in the playoff game, Skylar Thompson was forced to throw the ball a lot more than, honestly, we wanted him to as a third-string, seventh-round rookie quarterback making his playoff debut. And also, Raheem Mostert was out of that game in Buffalo in that wild card round. Jeff Wilson was the starting running back. We saw Salvon Ahmed be running back 2 for a playoff game for us. So, trading for Jonathan Taylor would definitely change some things. Another thing here is that Chris Greer, he's going to be the next talk of this video. I don't know if he's going to be willing to pay running backs big. He's never really done it. Like I said, bringing in Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson to be our top 2 running backs as a Super Bowl contending team is a risky move. But it is, again, really hard to fail as being a star running back in the system. But we saw what the 49ers did. I mean, that was the talk of the 49ers, is that no running back can fail as being a starter in that system. They had Elijah Mitchell there. They had Raheem Mostert there before. They had Trey Sermon there. And then they still ended up making a trade for Christian McCaffrey, and their offense became instantly better. And it became much better. And then when their starting quarterback of Jimmy Garoppolo went down, when Brock Purdy came back, Christian McCaffrey was his number 1 target. Now, of course, Debo and Ayuk were there, of course, and so was George Kittle. But Christian McCaffrey was still his most reliable option, and that's exactly what potentially the Dolphins are thinking of when they can make a move for Jonathan Taylor. Having the idea in mind that Tua may not be able to play a full 17 games this season. And most of, if not all the games we lost, not all, but most of the games that we lost last year were without Tua. But if anyone's going to budge in this situation, I'm really hoping it's not Chris Greer. I'm hoping Greer doesn't overpay. I'm hoping he doesn't give another first-round pick for a player who, obviously is super talented, but is it worth a first-round pick? I guess we're bound to see. But if anyone budgets, I'm really hoping it's going to be Chris Irsay, who takes less than what he wants. A second-round pick, a day 2 or 3 pick or something, and then Cedric Wilson Jr., Jeff Wilson. That's the offer on the table. Let's get Jonathan Taylor in a Dolphins jersey, number 28. Because Devon A-Chain. I forgot about all the running. I forgot to talk about that whole situation. Um, Man, the Dolphins are going to be sacked this year. If we can trade for Jonathan Taylor, I love it. And I'll be back here for the record predictions, award predictions before next season starts. And if we trade for Jonathan Taylor, of course, I'll be right back here talking about it. I'm hoping it happens. I'm hoping we don't overpay. And of course, most importantly, I'm hoping Christian Wilkins gets his money. But either way, that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.